Okay. We're streaming Atelier Lydie and Suelle, the third game in the Atelier Mysterious Trilogy. This game will be in Japanese, unfortunately, because they decided, as in Koei Tecmo America, they decided that they won't dub this one, despite dubbing the first two games Atelier Sophie and Atelier Firis. I really like those dubs. I think that they are fantastic. I'm going to miss Sophie's dub actress. She is great. But it'll all be good though, because we are here with all the cuties in the world. Yeah, this is an RPG though, so you will see me stopping and pausing and not exactly being active during most of this game, because I play JRPGs weirdly in that I focus on like small little details. I pause to think about things how I want to do. So this is not going to be a very active stream, which is unfortunate. But it will be a drunk stream though, because I'm already on my third beer today. So we have here Lydie and Suelle, who are our two leads in the third game in the Mysterious Trilogy, which is actually calling back to the Dusk Trilogy, which had Atelier Aisha, Atelier Eska and Logi, or Esha and Logi, and then Atelier Shally. Esha and Logi had the two protagonists, and then as well as Shally had the two protagonists, Shally and Shally, or rather Charlotte and then Shally. But unlike those two games in which you actually got to... I'm burping because of the beer. Excuse me. Look at that. Great Twitch content. Unlike those two games, which actually had you choose which character that you wanted to play as from the start, from what I understand, Atelier Lydie and Suelle will have you basically playing as both of them over the course of the game. Like, there is no, like, split narrative. It basically is you are playing as these two characters, and because they are sisters, you are following both of their stories, because there is no difference between their stories compared to Atelier Eshin Logi and Atelier Shally, which has two separate characters who have two separate stories, which allows you to play through the game twice. Granted, you will want to play through these games multiple times to get all the endings and whatnot. I have beaten Sophie, and I have beaten Firis. I have not gotten all the post-game content in Firis done yet, so I feel kind of bad about starting this already, because I do want to get the rest of the post-game content done in Firis at some point, but it's been like a year since I've last played Firis, and I forgot how to play that game, because the way that Firis is set up is that it's more of an open-world game, with the alchemy is also a little more complex than it is in this game, as well as in Sophie. So, a lot I've forgotten about. So, I will get back to that at some point, because I do want to finish out all those stories, all the personal character stories and the post-game content. But, for now, let's play Atelier Lydie and Suelle. So, tutorial, cool, yeah. Yeah, you know, just gather shit. This is actually what makes these games so fun, right? Is that you get to go gathering! Oh wow, they're actually just straight up using this is actually more of the UI from, like, Atelier Sophie than it is from, like, Firis. Which, of course, from what I understand, this game was meant to be more of a return to the gameplay that was in Sophie than it was in Firis, because Firis was somewhat unpopular due to them moving to the open-world mechanics. Truth be told, I actually really like Firis. A lot of people don't, but I really do like Firis. I think it is a fucking great game. But I guess the open world mechanics just didn't jibe with some people as well as it did with me, because, you know, generally I hate open world, but generally speaking, I find that when JRPGs do open world, it's not as bad for me, because there is still that structure there to it, compared to games like Grand Theft Auto, which there is no structure, and I don't know what to do, and also, truth be told, I'm not particularly interested in playing as violent white men. Politics, right? But no, it's just sort of just the idea of playing as, like, violent, sociopathic white dudes with guns just doesn't really appeal to me as much as playing as cute girls, going through an adventure in a magical world. That's just far more. That's just far more like appealing to me, aesthetically and narratively. Also, I apologize if you actually want to hear all the voice lines, but I read faster than I listen. You know, speed of light versus speed of sound and all that. Okay, so we got ourselves our twins here, and we got ourselves, although it's interesting that they say Sue in the, It's interesting that they say Sue instead of, Suelle. But, you know, Sue is short for Suelle, so it's okay. But yeah, okay, now we get to fucking break some rocks. I'm all down with this. I love breaking rocks. So basically getting to see what each character can do. Here we go. Broke a rock. Exciting. Okay, trust me when I say that the Atelier games are actually way more interesting than this. This is just beginning, and each game sort of has to, like, because the thing is that the problem with the JRPG genre, and I think video games in general, is that even if it's a sequel, you have to assume that, like, you know, this may be somebody's first game in this franchise, and so they may not know how to play it. And so you do have to have the boring little tutorial set up for them. It's unfortunate because it is boring, but it's what you gotta do. Yep. Now we gotta kick trees to knock down fruit from the trees. So she's the one with the staff. So basically, it seems that she's gonna be it seems that Sue. I think that's Sue, right? Yeah. Okay. No, that's Lydie. Okay. So basically, Lydie seems to be the alchemist here. She's the one with the staff. She's the one who is going to be doing most of the making, and Suelle is going to be the bruiser, as it were, the wizard and the bruiser. Shout out to a great podcast. So she's going to be basically for Sue, instead of hitting the tree with her staff knocking down, Sue's going to kick it. Look at that shit. Kick it. Kick it. Kick it. Let's kick some more. Look at that kick. What a great kick. Look at that. Fantastic kicks all around. Oh, and I'm also playing on a PS4 Pro. I'm not streaming in 60 FPS because my internet probably can't handle that. But I am playing in 4K, even though I'm not streaming in 4K. So, that's fun. But yeah, no, this game looks really gorgeous, though. Atelier games always look gorgeous. They're not graphically intensive games, but I feel that aesthetically they have traditionally been always very gorgeous. Even though Gust games are cheap. And look at that loading screen! Ah, oh, it's so good. Merville, Kingdom of Atelier. The capital of the Kingdom of Atelier. I mean, I will say that I don't think that they are as cute as Sophie or Fierce, but they do have their charm. I will say that, like, Suelle, I think I like more in terms of just her design. I'm really into the boots. I love boots. Man, I love boots. I personally wish that I had boots, but I don't look good in boots. I wish I did, though. I wish I looked good in boots. but my legs are a little too hairy and a little too muscular for boots to actually work on me, which is unfortunate. I'm all into boots. Boots. The twins, everybody. Twins, Basil. Twins. That's an Austin Powers Goldmember reference. Austin Powers. I kind of miss you. I do kind of miss Austin Powers, although I feel that its humor in general might not be as appropriate in 2018 compared to like 2000 or I guess like whenever the fuck the first movie came out. Actually, no. Austin Powers 1 came out in 98, yeah. I remember that because of 30/20/10, another good podcast. Roger is their father. Wow, he is... Wow, he is actually kind of hot. Especially for a dad, especially for like a middle-aged dad. Old age, you look like you're 20. Ooh, I like that hair. Oof. Time for a tutorial on alchemy. Of course, the lazy artist, a classic archetype. Baka-oji. It's fun. Dummy Daddy is actually a very good localization for Baka-oji. Dummy Daddy. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Very good localization. That's actually one thing that I actually do like playing JRPGs like this for, is actually seeing what the localization producers do with the text and in terms of translation, because sometimes it's really bad and sometimes it's very good. Because English is a really interesting language, especially when it comes to like adapting something from a foreign language. And you can, I mean, like English is so restrictive and yet free at the same time, and that's why it's so interesting to me, is to see exactly what you can do with the English language when it comes to adapting a Japanese thing. Just because the Japanese do have such great like expressions, and trying to adapt that into English can be challenging. But I feel that the best localizers, it may not be a straight translation, but they do localize it as something super interesting and funny and fun. So. But wow, I fucking talk a lot about video games, guys. I'm sorry. Although I guess as a streamer, you should be talking a lot. But yeah. Okay. So, I'm gonna leave this on because this is fun little tutorial music. I'm gonna go and get another beer because I'm not quite drunk enough yet. One more probably should put me over the top. At least in terms of feeling good enough to be able to talk to you guys. So, bear with me, listen to the music. Atelier music is always really good. This is actually really good tutorial music. I really like it. So, I'll be right back. Will! Never pulled a liger. I mean, at some point. Actually, I did buy a Zoe.
What'd you buy?
I bought the fucking deer. Because I want that deer so bad. Okay, I'm back. And with it, check this out. Ah, look at that. Look at that sound! Ooh, that sound is so good. Canned beer is the best beer. However, right now, you need to work. You can't sleep. Work now. Ooh. Look at that. Look at that. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, no. I've actually been listening to Barrel! Yes! Look at that shit. Got a barrel. But alchemy can be like shooting a fish in a... Oh, you know how it goes. So, for those who are unaware, Barrel is an ongoing meme within the Atelier franchise, to where every character basically, whenever you see a barrel, they just go, Barrel! It's actually very cute. There's actually a super good supercut, on YouTube for it, and actually, if you listen to a WASD episode on the Worlds to Worlds Network, from a while back, I actually inserted the Barrel supercut into that video of having all the Atelier games, with the characters being like, Barrel! It's very cute and very good. I like it a lot. Okay, so, we need to... So... Yeah, so we actually have the, like, Merrier costume, which is actually really bizarre, because the thing is that these are costumes from the very first Atelier game, because since this game was for the 15th anniversary of the Atelier series, with Atelier like Merrier, or rather like Marie, or like Marie, or whatever you want to say. I mean, like, the Japanese would definitely be like Marie. That game launched on the PlayStation, and we never got it. We did not get an Atelier game in the U.S. until Atelier Iris on the PS2. That was when Nice America began to bring the games over. And so, but you know, they bring over the costumes though, because you know, it's sort of similar to how, like, whenever you buy a new Tales game and they have costumes from Tales games that we never got, since we never got any of the Team Destiny games except for Tales of Destiny on the PlayStation. We do not get Tales of Innocence or no, Tales of Innocence is the fucking DS and PSP game. No, Tales of Rebirth and Tales of Destiny 2 and other things like that. I'm forgetting the names of Tales games. Fuck! I call myself a JRPG player. Excuse me. Yeah, you want people to play, but I'm just here to talk about JRPGs, people. I love JRPGs. Okay. Foolish father of ours. Never ever listen to your dad. Lesson 1 about how to be a good girl. Never listen to your dad, because your dad's a fucking idiot. Just don't use the wrong neutralizer again. What are you? There is no such thing as a wrong neutralizer, except that there is totally. Because fuck, man, like I got super deep into the alchemy systems in the past games, and yeah, they can. I mean, like, alchemy in these games can get really intense. Yep. pretty standard, really. Okay. Okay, we're supposed to be free to use any item you want as long as it comes with a specific category. Yep. As a check window to the right will display the quality, quantity, and other details of the item to be synthesized. The worst thing was that there was this item in Atelier Ferris as part of the main story which required you to have like 99 of a type of item, and it was ooh, that was intense and very hard to do. We got it! This is the one unfortunate thing. This is Atelier Lydie Suelle. It is a JRPG about item creation, item synthesis. It is one of my favorite game franchises of all time. I love item synthesis in games, and that is all this is. You can buy this on the PC, yes. Atelier Sophie, Ferris, and Lydie Suelle are all on Steam right now. But this is this is the PS4 version, though. Once again, because I still don't have actually any good equipment to be able to stream with face cam or anything else. I just have my podcast mic, everything. Cutscenes told only through CGs. Fantastic. It is very cute. The Atelier games are always very cute. You know, these are basically like all these games are basically just like cavalcade of cuties. But no, you can totally buy all 3 games in the Mysterious Trilogy on Steam right now. I would suggest you start with Sophie because that's the first game in the trilogy. But you can basically start with with any game. It's just that when Sophie shows up in this game, you might be confused as to who she is, and it won't be as powerful of an experience when she shows up if you didn't actually play through Sophie first and actually bore witness to her journey. Also because Sophie is like a really chill, laid-back game. Dead mothers. That is a trope within JRPGs. Healing by the Sister Grace and the Blacksmith. The smithy is on Soleil Street, and the Sister Grace in the church on Seaview Hill. Okay, so we gotta deliver some shit to the blacksmith. Yeah, so with the Atelier series, so every Atelier game is... Yes, it is sort of a Final Fantasy thing, except that the games are split into trilogies. So basically, it's like you have 3 games all within the same world, within the same continuity, within the same story. And then the next 3 games are part of a new continuity, new story. So it is Final Fantasy, but if Final Fantasy, like every 3 games was basically like all part of the same world, same story, same characters. So basically you have the Arlen trilogy, the Dusk trilogy, and the Mysterious trilogy on the PS3 and the PS4. But then, as far as like English language releases, though, you have the Atelier Iris games on the PS2, as well as the Monocamia games. it is very similar to games like it is very similar to games like item shops, Tales, and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's very, very similar to those games in that basically you are basically gathering items to make things to progress in the story by basically making things that people in the town request of you. These games are about like managing, these games are about managing like an item shop. Generally, though, these games do have timers on them and time limits. Oh yes, no. Oh yeah, no, Rocketeer. Actually, I would say that Rocketeer is inspired by the Atelier series. They are very similar games. Once I actually get to one of the dungeons and stuff and begin to actually do battle and gather items, you will see that it is much more like that. Man, Sue is salty. Yeah, so Atelier is a French word meaning workshop. So yes, it is a shop. In this game, it is basically specifically, as well as like in general, like in fantasy storytelling, the word generally means the idea of like, you know, like using like alchemy to create new new items. But yes. But yeah, like it is straight up it's just straight up like, you know, it's basically just meant to be a like workshop. So now we are actually in the world. All right. Look at that. Look at that jump. Good jump. Actually, it's a little too floaty for my taste. Ugh. I may have drank a little too much beer today. Oof. I'm definitely gonna need some water next. Haggle! Holy shit, it's Haggle! So, Haggle is actually, or like Hagel, Hagaru, he's a character from past games in the series. In Sophie and in Fierce, you have Logi, who was the blacksmith in Atelier, Esha, and Logi. But now we've gone back to Hegel, who is more of a man, instead of Logi, who is more like Logi is more of like a pretty boy. I mean, yeah, it's actually pretty self-explanatory that you just hand the item over. Holy shit, I got money. I'm super into this track, man. I love this. I love the Atelier music. It's always so good. It's so good. if you actually don't know about them, you should definitely check out the Super Marcato Brothers. They did an episode on the Atelier series and its music, and it's very good. I may have somewhat forced their arm in it. I may have twisted their arm a bit to make them do it, but it's very good though. It's a very good episode that you should definitely check out to listen to the Atelier music. They play all the games. They play music from the games all the way up to Furious. Although they do skip over the PlayStation and the PS2 games, which is unfortunate because I do feel that the Monokemia games are pretty rad, and they have pretty rad music too. If I can get so I have a PS2 that's connected to an HDMI upscaler. So if I can get my streaming device set up, I might stream a bit of the Atelier games on the PS2 because I have all the Atelier games released on the PS2 in the US. I have all 3 of the Iris games, and I have both of the Monokemia games. So I may stream those at some point too, because those are actually super interesting games because they're very different from this.
よく来てくれました。いろいろあって私たちが代わりに。ああ、またですか。
Nun who knows what's a nun who knows what Dad's up to. Good stuff. Dad's a deadbeat. We got it.
ありがとうございます。2人とも。せめて顔くらいは洗ってく。
300 gold. Look at that shit. We got some money. Where is the money? Where is the money? Look at that shit. We're in the money. Let's go. Let's leave again. Get back outside. We'll be able to eat tomorrow. Holy shit. Dire straits. Man, I love this. I love this main theme in the town. God, I love this game's music so much. But yeah, no, these games are definitely like low budget JRPGs. But to be honest, I typically I do typically seem to think that like low budget JRPGs are often the best because they are working within the restrictions of their budget, and so they put more effort into the gameplay and into the narrative compared to the graphics, and often I think end up being better games for it. So yeah, we'll see though. I mean, like food is expensive, man. At least it's not as bad as the in the Dusk trilogy, where basically like all the water in the world has been replaced by sand. And like everybody is like sailing on like sand ships over the ocean instead of water now, and water is such a precious commodity that it's like super rare. You know, this is I think this is Tsukasa Sato, I think is his name, the composer for the majority of this game, because like Hayato wow, God, I'm blanking on his name, but like it's Hayato Sano or something like that. He was the composer on Atelier Sophie, And then when Blue of Reflection came out, he was the main composer on that. And then he left Gust, leaving. It's Tsukasa Yano or something like that. But yeah, no, he is really good. And he definitely gets the Atelier vibe of having this like Celtic, like sort of this like sort of like bagpipe violin, like sort of like string bagpipe and like piano sound, and it's very good. Notice board, huh? Atelier Bothare is as popular as ever. Who is in charge of this Atelier? Who is in charge of that? Who is running that Atelier? Ooh. You know, I've listened to this soundtrack like 4 times before I even began playing this game, because like I write whilst I listen to this soundtrack. Because like Atelier games always have like super like gentle and great soundtracks just to listen to as you're writing. Too lazy butts. These girls are too lazy. They gotta pick up the slack and begin working their butts off. Wow, though, this is actually a really great town, though, because it's like it's like Sophie is in Kirchenbell, and that's such a small town. And this is like the first like city in the Mysterious trilogy. I mean, you do go to the capital city to take the alchemy exam in Fierce, but like you don't actually get to like really like explore the city much in that game. And most of the towns are sort of these like open world town places, so it's pretty rad though. Let's head back to the Atelier, though.
Oh, okay.
It's like as much as I love their performances, it's like I really, really, really wish that this game got a dub, because I can just imagine them getting some of the better dubs. Fuck. Sorry, I'm checking out to see if I have, because I wrote a review last week and I'm waiting for it to get like copy edited and published. Because I reviewed Ni no Kuni Tune for the fine folks over at Honest Gamers. So look forward to that review soon-ish. It's already only 2:30 here, and I'm already 4 beers in. Ugh. I am kind of a little lightheaded now, so yeah. Pretty good though. Yes, let's run the best Atelier with our mother, who's dead. But we can run it with our deadbeat dad, though. That's actually sweet, though. That, you know, two girls working to keep their promise to their mother to run the best Atelier in the kingdom. Although it's weird that you have this Atelier in town when it's like Sophie and Fierce are both out there in this nation, and Sophie and Fierce are like way better than them. Although they're more like traveling alchemists, though. So, oh, that's an explosion.
Ah. 失敗しちゃった。可愛く言っても許さない。すまんとは思ってるが。
Wow.
逃げた。本当にあのバカ親父は。
That really is a fucking dummy daddy. Exactly. Never listen to your mother. Yes, listen to her. She's smart. She knows stuff. Father, don't listen to him. Magic paintings, that's what. Ugh. Oh shit! We're getting transported into the magical realm of the painting. Atelier 19! The 19th Atelier game. Yes. So whilst this opening plays, if it's an actual, like, opening, I might run down to get I might run down to get one more beer. Yeah, I'm gonna run down and get one more beer, so that you guys can have me streaming JRPGs whilst I am completely shit-faced. And then, then I will sober up with some water and some rice. But for now, though, let's have some fun though. So enjoy this opening. I'll get one more beer. Okay. We are back, and time for the last beer of the day, even though it's only 2:45. But, look at that. Good sound. But, we are on our last beer, though, because after I drink this, I will be completely gone. And I will then need to begin drinking water and eating rice to sober myself up. But, because I can't get too drunk today. Because I do have to stay up for most of the day. Because after this, I'm going to want to sleep. And that can't happen. Oh, this is nice. What's actually interesting about this is that this actually looks like a blue reflection, like level area. Though Gust was busy last year. Gust, who was a very small team, was making 3 fucking games. Whereas in this year, it seems that Gust will only be making the new Atelier game, and they won't be making a Knights of Azure. They won't be making a blue reflection. So their resources will not be as split up. Okay, let's explore the world inside the painting. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, no, this is actually very pleasant. God, ugh. Ooh. I've already got a bit of the jelly legs. Okay. So yeah, this is the thing. Bum, 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 bum. Look at that shot. Hey, man. You are under no obligation to be here to watch this, because I am now at the shaky leg portion of the show, to where I'm a little fucked up now. You know, I'm on my 5th beer in a row. I have not taken a single break, but I will after this one though, because I don't want to get too fucked up. I mean, if you're not here, nobody's here, because nobody else gives a shit. And to be honest, I don't know why you give a shit about, especially because we have not been active really at the Wills or Wills Network in a long, long time, besides just the podcast, because when your entire team is spread across the entire fucking nation, it's hard to coordinate. Granted, though, Cameron, Brian, and Steven, everybody was all here in Kentucky last week, and it was great. But we didn't really record anything. We did record one little thing, which you will see on the podcast feed for the Wotherwell's podcast soon. But yeah, beyond that though, nothing. And the WASD Gaming podcast is really, really on hold for the next who knows how long, because I really need to get with Cameron, and like he's busy, I'm busy, we're all very, very busy. To be able to actually sit down and do like a gaming focused podcast. And to be honest, I don't want to do a games podcast. Because those are boring and a dime a dozen. I want to do something different with it, and which requires a lot more planning. And Cameron needs to be on board with it, and he isn't completely on board with it just yet. Like, I still need to convince him a little more that it's worth having a podcast that is not just us talking about the games that we've been playing, because that's incredibly boring, and I want to do more like a scripted, like humorous kind of show. So we'll see. I mean, they show that I could begin like collecting shit from the environment. I want to collect shit. There we go. Yeah. Let's get flowers. Yeah, no, like, for realsies, like, low-budget JRPGs, because, like, JRPGs are so focused, or rather, the, like, big-budget JRPGs are so focused on the visuals that they tend to forget having a compelling gameplay loop or a compelling narrative, and so things kind of fall apart and be like, as much as I love Final Fantasy, like, 15, I think that 15 is great, I love that game, but narratively, it's a mess. Gameplay-wise, and like visual are great, but the gameplay is also sort of a mess, and it's not as fun as, say, like an I Am Setsuna or like a Lost Sphere. Although it's hard to compare those two because like, you know, one is an action RPG, one is another thing. But like, say, okay, so let's actually say like Ni no Kuni 2, which is an action RPG. But it has all these other systems in it, and it does actually feel like a low-budget JRPG. It's fucking great for it because it has all these interesting systems in place that definitely make me want to make me want to like explore more within the systems within the world, to definitely do more with it because of the kingdom building mechanic and the like RTS mechanics in it, which make it more of a thing. But yeah. Oh, speaking of WASD though, what do you think about this though? Because Cameron wants to keep on calling it WASD, and I don't. I think that WASD is a bad name. So I actually was thinking about calling it Standard Definition, or either Standard Def, or even SD for short. Just because to me, like, Standard Definition is like such a great name, because one, it implies that, you know, because one, it implies that we as a podcast are actually kind of shit, which we would be. and it would have more of like a homely feel to it. And also the fact that I also looked into, there isn't a gaming podcast called Standard Definition yet, and I think that it rolls off the tongue better than a WASD. Because WASD is definitely a whales are whales pun, but I don't want to tie everything into whales. Because whales as a network is great, but considering that the Overclocked Remix podcast is ending soonish, Whales Are Whales Network isn't going to have a regular show on it anymore, except for the Whales Are Whales podcast, and that is semi-regular, because the people who edit it are rarely ever actually in the process of editing it. And so I do want to have at least one regular show on there, and so that's where I think that WASD, or in my mind, Standard Definition, steps in. But it needs to be somewhat structured and somewhat scripted, and not just about talking about what we've been playing. I want to make the anti-games podcast, because I think that podcasts about games are awful, because all they are is just what we've been playing. Let's talk about that, and that it's incredibly boring because we already did that. It's called Disembodied Voices. If you want to listen to that, listen to that. It's awful. I hate it. So I want to have a more scripted, a more interesting podcast that is more about games and more about the culture around games, and kind of also makes fun of games, because games deserve to be made fun of. Because the modern the modern culture surrounding games is so fucking awful that it deserves to be made fun of, and I enjoy writing stuff, making fun of it. So it sort of is if you. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of gaming, but I would say that if you go back and watch what is it, Mandatory Update, which is on Game Trailers, or rather the old Game Trailers channel, something like that, to where it's a show dedicated to just making fun of games. Oh sure, yeah. I'm not gonna say that games are all awful. Games are good. Games are fucking rad. But the culture surrounding games, I think, has problems that I want to lampoon and make fun of, or lampoon and make fun of, and sort of point out the inherent absurdity surrounding game culture. And really just the absurdity surrounding pop culture in general, because with the release of the Ready Player One movie, I've been sort of thinking about making fun of the idea of investing your entire personality into some kind of medium, and that is your entire life, and making fun of that. So yeah, Standard Definition or WASD would be about making fun of games culture from the perspective of sort of people who invest their entire personality or their identity into video games, and they themselves become absurd, like a video game, and sort of making fun of the idea of transforming your humanity into a video game. And I think that that's absurd and funny and worth mocking. Deep hole. Okay, cool. Deep hole. Oh shit! What? You guys just jumped into a fucking hole? Oh. More specific. Okay, more specific about the absurdity of games culture. Yeah. It's sort of like... Oh, so, one, excuse me, I am actually kind of drunk now, so my answer may not be completely satisfactory, but it's more like the absurdity that comes from people, from sort of like the different factions within gaming who are all sort of like clashing with each other over sort of like the idea that like games are... It's like... It's like the idea that games like belong to like one group or to one person, and you see this idea that like it's our culture, we're the ones who founded it, and then you have this new group that is about like, you know, we want to make games for us and us only, and then you have these like two groups that are, or three groups or four groups or just how many groups there are, that are basically like, you know, games have to be this way or that way. And to be honest, the truth is that games are for basically like everybody. And if you make a game for like, you know, your group, for like somebody that you relate to, that's cool, that's fine, make a game for them. It's when you get to the idea to where like you begin to like politicize video games to the point to where like it's insane to where... And yeah, I mean like everything is fucking politicized these days, but I think that it's worth like lampooning both sides for the idea that like video games should be this way or that way. And I think that there is like humor to be found if you like push the idea of a video game made for one group or the other all the way to the extreme. That I think that you can find some humor in the extremes, whether it be left, right, centrist, or like whatever. That I think that I do think that you could find some humor, because I mean I am definitely very liberal. I'm very leftist, but I also love to make fun of people on the left because they go way too far left. And I think that, and I do think that, like, you know, there is some humor to be found to make fun of people who want to push gaming left or right all the way. And that sort of is what I would want standard definition to be, is to be like an equal opportunity, not like offender, because I don't want to offend people, but I want to make fun of people. And I think that there is a key difference there, because I do feel that I do feel that like offending people, I don't want to do that because that feels bad, but I feel like making fun of people is really fun, and that is sort of what I want our games podcast to be, is to make fun of people who want games to be this or that. Because the idea behind games and media in general is that they can be anything and like everything. And the idea that like they should be one thing or the other is just so fucking stupid. And yes, I do realize that I will offend people if I make fun of them, but the thing is that if I offend people, I I intend to like defend it, because the problem is that many people who like, you know, try to offend only want to offend just to offend, and they don't actually try to like defend themselves for offending. Whereas I want to be somebody who offends to basically try to say something, and I want to be able to like defend the offense. Which I feel that most who do it don't ever try to attempt that. So, yes, I do know exactly what I'm getting into, and I want to do it though, because I feel that that is sort of what comedy's point is. Since a comedy is meant to offend everybody, not just one or the other. It's because I'm more of a comic who wants to offend both sides, who wants to show both of them how absurd they are. Because I am more of a centrist, really, but I'm more like a left center. But yeah. But oof, I'm a little drunk though, so we'll see exactly how I feel when I actually wake up in the morning tomorrow. Well, it may be useless, but still going to defend myself though. Ugh. But enough about that. Let's fucking talk about how fucking drunk I am. Ugh. Actually, I'm not at all drunk at all. Like, I'm basically just like a little... I'm not drunk. I'm just... Ugh. I don't kowtow to any whims. I kowtow to my own personal beliefs. Like, I have my own personal beliefs, and that is all I go with. Granted, though, those beliefs can be changed depending on, you know, if I hear this or that. Because I do believe in listening to every perspective, every viewpoint, and then, you know, if somebody makes, like, an argument that I'm like, oh, that makes sense, yes, then I will work that into my own beliefs. But I don't try to define myself based upon, like, anybody else's beliefs, but I will work other arguments into my own beliefs if it makes sense to me. I don't believe in the idea of, like, you know, like, I don't believe in just, like, buying full, it's like, I sort of, like, don't believe into, like, buying full sale into one belief or the other, but, you know, I borrow, I pick, I'm very selective from various, like, philosophies, to basically form my own basis. I mean, basically, my whole thing can actually be boiled down to, don't be a dick! That's it. Like, that's all I am. Like, you know, like, straight up, don't be a dick. Like, I mean, like, for me, it's basically, if you're a dick, I want nothing to do with you. If you are like respectful of others, even if you don't agree with them, as long as you want to debate respectfully and as long as you don't like try to attack people, I'm fucking cool. It's just straight up like, you know, let's just fucking talk. And not be fucking shitty to each other. Like, you know, that's straight up is like my whole shtick. Don't be shitty, and we're cool. That sort of is my, like, that sort of is my, like, golden rule. Is like, you know, don't be shitty, and we're cool. Ooh, look at that quality. Ooh. That is some good quality. Yeah, I mean, it's just straight up, like, even if you, like, disagree with somebody, even if you have fundamental, like, differences with others, that's fine. It's entirely fine. Just don't be like an asshole about it. Just, like, you know, even if you want to debate, don't be a dick about it. Just, like, you know, clearly and calmly explain your position. And the hope is that the other side, they will too explain their position calmly and clearly, and then you two could then hash out the differences, and maybe you both will actually come to an agreement upon certain things. And then from there, work together on those things that you both have an agreement on. And then work from there, and then maybe you will also be able to, like, obtain what you want for the other things. Because as you work together, you will become aware that we're not so different, you and I. And yeah, I mean, like, I do believe that people are a little too, like, hyper-politicized. And I think that if you actually and I do think that if you were to just sit down and talk with people and never ever go on the attack, just explain it. Like, never ever attack anybody. Just explain yourself. And I do think that you will find common ground somewhere in the middle. Because that sort of is how I've operated, and it's worked for me. Oh shit. Plot. Plot, everybody. So much plot. Oh, really? Chapter 2 already? Ooh. Ooh, lorda lorda. Chapter 2 already. Fucking dad robbed us? Did our fucking dad rob us? Oh, jeez. Well, you know, if your dad is a shit, kick him. That's actually a pretty good rule. I think that children should be allowed to abuse their parents in times of need.
2人ともさすがに悪かった。今から靴かなんかを調合して食い物を準備する。
Sure, yeah, no, totally. Like, if somebody is actually, like, spouting, like, a, like, blatant falsehood, yes, you should definitely call that out. But I feel that, like, when it comes to certain arguments, especially, when it comes, like, it's sort of like... Because it's weird is because, like... The like philosophy of truth is the idea that like nothing is quite true, but things are true. And it's interesting because it's like, because I'm definitely like, I subscribe to the philosophy of like everything is like relative, is that like is that there's no such thing as like good or evil. Everything is relative, and everything is based upon like mores, and sort of like what the current ideas of what is good is currently like maybe prevailing. So my idea is like, you know, what is best for the species, because like rules and ideas and morals have always been established to sort of like preserve the like species. And so nothing is like truly moral. It is always about preserving the like species as a whole, like, you know, like humanity. But arguing that can be difficult though, because the idea is that, like, you know, sometimes what is best for the species isn't specifically morally upright compared to other people's morals. And so it's sort of like, you know, you just kind of have to roll with it, and you do have to accept that morals can change over time. And what is it, and sort of like, you know, what is largely acceptable can also change over time. And so that's why I try to absorb and listen to a variety of ideas, so I know exactly what I'm, so I can know like exactly what I'm getting into, and sort of like where it is in terms of like acceptance amongst humanity at large. Because, you know, sort of like for me personally, I operate off of the idea that, like, if this idea harms others, if this idea will lead to the harm or the death of others, it is intrinsically evil, because that is what my like morality, from what I have inferred, says. So if what somebody says tries to imply that something is evil, then, and like harm others, then yes, I will be against it. Now then, if somebody is against others who believe in a system that is about harming others, then I will be against it. But this does bring up the conflict, though, of like harming others for the sake of protecting others. Then it's like you do then have to juggle which one in your mind is like more important to you. Which group do you want to protect more? And in my case, it is groups that I am more closely associated with. So in my case, in America, I am more close with in my case, in the U.S., it is that I am more closely associated with the gay and the lesbian and the transgender like communities, the LGBT communities, because that is what I more like associate with. And so then if I run into people who like advocate the harming of those within that community, I am going to be more like defensive against those ideologies, just because my mores inform me that those who are like offensive against those ideas, they are bad. They're not evil, but they do come from a more like conservative place. And so then I want to believe that like help those ideas of the LGBT community thrive will be better for me, because that is what I belong to. And so it sort of is a like, but I don't want to completely disregard their ideas, but I want to debate them and be like, hey, like, you know, what benefit do you get from this not being a thing? Like, you know, what, like, you know, sort of like, the idea has always been for me, what benefit do you obtain from this ideology, from the, like, LGBT friendly, like, ideology being, what sort of, like, you know, like, what benefit would you get if this suddenly went away? And I want to listen to what they believe that this would help or harm. And generally speaking, whenever I have listened to people, it has often been, it hasn't convinced me that it's a good enough idea to like fight against this like particular subset, because it's often just like, this is sinful, and it's like, well, what is sin? Because like sin is completely like subjective, and there is no specific rule book about it. Like, it is incredibly difficult to sort of go into the idea of, because like, you know, I've always been about, like, you know, like the morality of people, and be like immorality is relative, and you just can't quite, you know, tell somebody that they're wrong, because, you know, they may have a completely different social background to you, and the idea is to expose them to a different social background and see if that changes their mind. And if not, that's fine. That is, you know, that person isn't going to change. But if you show them the like humanity of people within a social certain background, I do believe that most people will actually, you know, begin to realize, like, hey, like, you know, these people are actually people too, and it's totally okay for them to be this way or that way. Because, you know, once again, the golden rule for me is, like, you know, don't be a dick. Even if somebody is gay, even if somebody's lesbian, even if somebody is trans, don't be a dick to them. But you should at least debate on the merits of the ideas and whether or not it is helpful or harmful to the species as a whole, not just to one group or the other. And I do believe that you can actually find common ground with, like, all groups, regardless. I do feel that it is the best way to help others see sort of the error of their ways, even though it's not so much like the error of their ways, because, like, you know, there is no like true error. It is just what they view as like a value for themselves, and show them the values within like your own community, and see which value steps up the most. Because you know, like I'm a journalist, and I have been raised up to believe in the marketplace of ideas, to the idea that the best ideas rise to the top. And whilst that has been changed somewhat due to Facebook and Twitter and the social media era, I do still believe that a person can be convinced that there's merit in the ideas and in the merits of other people. Yeah, no, I mean, like, totally, there is a lot of hoops to totally jump through, when you say there is no real truth. Because the idea is that truth is a manufactured idea based upon the morals, and the values of a community. And, you know, there are, like, truths in terms of, like, the actual, like, world around us. Yes, I mean, like, exactly, you can get to a truth, but it is super interesting, though, in terms of, like, the debating over what is the truth, because, like, I don't profess to know the truth. I profess to know what I believe based upon the communities and the morals and the values that I as a person have subscribed to, which is basically everybody is worth something. All humans deserve some kind of life, and that like it is not so much wrong as it is just it is like illogical to deny life to somebody based upon their beliefs, based upon the way that they live their lives. I think that is completely, like, the most, like, illogical sentiment, is to say that, like, somebody doesn't deserve a life just because they're gay, just because they believe this way or that way. Sure, yeah, no, like, I totally love talking about, I mean, like, I'm glad that I can be a person that is not afraid to like, you know, like, talk politics. Like, you know, like, I have very strong beliefs in certain ideas, but, you know, I am also willing to be swayed by like a variety of other ideas. Like, yeah, like, I am very much somebody, but I finished my 5th beer, and instead of drinking a 6th beer, which would end up all my beers because I only bought a 6-pack today, I'm gonna go get some water to help me sober up. So I'll be right back. Enjoy this wonderful music.
次は何を
Okay, everybody, I'm going to quit out of this for a second in terms of the stream, and I'll be right back. I'm going to try to set up a proper stream with a webcam and everything so that everybody can see me and my drunken self. So, I'll be back, hopefully, soon-ish. So, peace out for like just a bit.